Hey guys, welcome into another edition of Reality After Show's coverage of Australia v. the World. I'm Bobby Goodsby, joined as always by my good friend and former star of Deal or No Deal Season 2, Mr. Phillip Solomon. Phillip, how you doing today?
Good day, mate. See what I did there? It's Australian. I don't know if you got that one, but in case it's there.
We're also joined by another friend of the podcast that likes to podcast about reality TV, Miss Lauren Pratt. How you doing, Lauren?
What's going on? I'm doing fantastic. I don't have a bit like Phillip did to bring myself on. However, I am very excited to talk about the ending of the season. We spoke about episodes 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to put a bow on what I call an awesome, awesome season.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard for 49 to live up to this one. I'm not going to lie to you because we're coming right off of it. And I think we're expecting something so big. And instead it's going to be like episode 1 of like, here's everyone's name. And we're like, oh yeah, okay, that. Yep.
You're not going to get the epic intro that we got for this season. I know. It's tough. It really is because there is so much hype for this and the hype absolutely delivered 110%.
Yeah, I mean, it was just as a whole really great to watch. It was a good speed, good pacing. I actually really enjoy the Okay, here's the thing. I actually enjoy the Australian pacing of the 3 days in a row, but I don't love the Big Brother 3 days, but it has a day in between, if that makes sense. Like, I'd rather go like in those big chunks, gain all my information, then I'll be like, I'll see you next week. But I think it, for some reason, hits better than the Big Brother 3 day. I don't know why.
Does it hit better just because they're on a beach? Is that it for you? And they're not just in the confinement of the house?
I mean, I think that might also, I think I also hate the Big Brother house the more I like look at it. So that makes sense. Yes. So they were, okay, let me show this comment. All right. Not too tall. After watching Parv come right off of Deal or No Deal Island, this has me excited to see Sari doing it back to back. To be honest, yes, I thought it was going to be like super annoying seeing them go from one show to another. And I think if we saw Parvati and David part 2, it would have been annoying. But because they never ever really crossed paths or interacted, I think it was kind of interesting. And it really does kind of prove I never felt more prepared for a competition reality show than on the way home from filming a competition reality show. Like, you do the whole thing and you're like, that was insane. And then you take like 48 hours and you're like, wait, if I could go back, I would do this instead of this or whatever else. And you can see Parv and David being like, no, 3 weeks ago, we just did this. So they skip the highs, the handshakes, and they just jump right in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was shocking to see that they went right from Deal or No Deal Season 2 right into this. And to see both of them do well on back-to-back seasons was, honestly very impressive. Obviously, David went out early, but David won Deal or No Deal, then Parv won Survivor via the World. So it was kind of cool to see that relationship bloom and see what it became. I wish we would have been able to see them play with each other on Australia via the World, but it is what it is. So for you guys, the season as a whole, and I know we're kind of jumping right into it, where does this rank amongst the other Survivor Australia and Survivor, US proper? Where does it rank for you guys? And I know it's different because it was a shortened season.
I'm not even considering the shortened season, if I'm being honest in this answer, because it didn't. Yes, we obviously see less numbers. We started with less people, but it didn't feel like a shortened season to me. And maybe that's just because we needed something this summer. They were hyping it up like no other, and it just hit every single episode. I would say in all 10 of these episodes, there was maybe just one where I go, it was good. But in comparison to all the other ones were top tier, and this was good. Nothing was bad about it. It just was a good, solid episode, but not the highest tier of an episode. So for me personally, I would have it overall with regard to Australian Survivor, US versions of Survivor. This is solidly in my top 10.
Yeah, as far as bringing people back, I only really know how to compare it to American seasons. And this for me is right up there with heroes versus villains. I think like this is up there just because it all moved so quickly. hot take. I actually enjoyed Winners at War. I know no one agrees with me ever, but I enjoyed Winners at War. And obviously it was a stronger season than that. But I think that from not only a reality competitor perspective, but from a public relations person perspective, Endemol Shine knows what they're doing. They produced Deal or No Deal Island, and they produced Survivor Australia. So they knew what they did when they booked Parv and David twice. They were aware of it. And in looking at the numbers and the ratings, they brought Australian Survivor through the roof. So again, if that was the goal, they won. Whether you like it or hate it, they had a goal and they killed it.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know if I have this as high as maybe other people do.
Wow.
I enjoyed the season. Don't get me wrong. I think for me, there was a lot of like playing with friendship, right? Like it was a lot of friendship building more than it was actual gameplay. And it was more of a social game because of the fact that it was a, faster paced season for those that were on the island. So I feel like social elements came more into play than actual strategic gameplay. And we saw that a lot throughout the season where people wanted to play with Kirby just because they liked Kirby and they thought she was fun and fun to be around. People wanted to play with Parvati because it's Parvati. Like there wasn't as much back and forth gameplay that I'd like to see. Also, we didn't really see any immunity idols get used. It seemed like there was like every other person had one and not any really got played. So it was more just a social game more than a strategic game and advantage game. I don't necessarily hate it. I do like what it was. It was different. It was something new and unique, but I don't think I can put it in the same category as some of those great seasons we've had on both Australian and the regular US seasons. I would put it almost in a category of its own. And that's not to say it's a bad thing, but in all reality, do you look at Parvati as a two-time winner like Tony and Sandra? Or do you look at it as like, yeah, she won Survivor proper, and she won this fun little other version of Survivor? Like, I don't see her in the same breath as a Parvati and a Tony. And tell me I'm wrong.
I don't have an answer, but I can say I've been reading this argument on Reddit all week of being like, a lot of people are saying Parvati's not a legitimate winner because it was a shortened season and she was in the majority, like male versus female wise. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a lot of things that I'm reading. But there are also people saying on the other side, because it's a shortened season, you have to be a much better game player quicker. And also that the gender thing didn't really play as much into it as they originally thought. So there are people on both sides, and this argument is happening. You're not wrong there. It's hard to even... Okay, do I qualify Parv as a full Survivor winner twice? I do, because that game was really hard. But also, in the same breath, I am biased because I'm friends with her. And number two, although I consider her a two-time winner, if you win Big Brother and then you win Big Brother reindeer games, does it count? I mean, no. Right. So it's one of those where like, I'm not sure if it applies amongst other franchises. I can just talk about the moves that Parvati made on this show, and that to me says that she is a full-fledged two-time winner. That's what I'm saying.
So I am also going to agree with Phillip here. 100% a two-time winner, and I'm going to give a couple reasons why. Number one being, you are playing with the absolute best of the best here. You are not playing with the cakewalk people that you can just talk to and they're going to do everything that you say. Although that did happen the majority of the time for her this season, she still had those moves. What she did to Cass with that play there, she was thinking the entire time. She ran into that situation at the beginning with Rob, got herself out of it. So it's not as though she was just coasting through this game. She was making moves time and time again and set herself up. Let's even put this out here. Endurance queen, my goodness. So she comes in clutch with the challenges as well. There's so many things that she did well throughout this entire season, which makes me believe that she's an incredible Survivor player, a great two-time winner, and I'm sticking that out there still, the two-time winner. because she was playing with the best of the world of the Aussies.
Okay, so another thing I want to put out there is, was she playing with the best of the best? Like, she was playing against these international people that no one's really ever heard of. And she was playing with people that, if it was a true US and it was like a very good US cast versus true, all those Survivor Australian people that they had out there, sure, say they were part of it. Then I would believe it. And not to knock on the international people, but are they really in the same conversation gameplay wise as what we see from US players, like in Australian Survivor players? Like, those shows have been around for so much longer that you've had to really have a condensed version of like, these are the best, right? And we would know who those people are. So do we know Tommy is the best from Finland? Maybe, but like, that's such a condensed, formulated population that doesn't compute to the best in the world, in my opinion. No shots taken on Tommy. I'm just giving an example. Another big factor, the fact that they had a women's advantage numbers wise on both sides really played a factor. And I know you didn't think it did, Phillip, but we go back to when the international US players had to, I think it was the Tony vote, right? Tony and Tommy were on the outs because the women all just sided up with each other. And that wasn't their fault at all. They were already outnumbered when it was 4 women to 3 men. So even though it was like, oh yeah, well, they got the US numbers, it didn't work out for Tony, because guess what? As soon as those women who are known from Micronesia to like to play with women, there is no way you are in an advantage in that situation. So is it really fair? No, the numbers never need to be off. If you're going to have 8 people out there, have 4 men, 4 women on each side. That's fair. Yeah. That's convenient. But when you already have an advantage gender-wise, and then you don't necessarily have the best in the world, in my opinion, out there, I don't think you can consider it those two things. And I just go back to the fact that if this was a normal US best in the world versus Australia best in the world, I think we could have that conversation. But I don't think we can put her in an actual winners category as a 2-time winner. It really does feel like a reindeer's game win to me. And that's not a knock on her. And it's really not a knock on her. She played a phenomenal game. Definitely deserved the win. The fact that Luke even got 1 vote was shocking to me. I really feel like you can't consider this in the same category as a Sandra or a Tony.
I mean, you make valid points. That's fair. I think that her gameplay did exactly what you want when you see a returning player. You want them to come back better, stronger, smarter, using the knowledge that they have. Do I think the American players were at a large advantage no matter what? Totally. They've been playing the game longer than these people, so that's fair. But I always go back to her knowing to read the first 2 lines and not the last 2 on the spot. Literally, she was like, uh-oh, I got to do something right now. That even I was like, listen, love her or hate her, kudos to you for knowing to do that, because I've never seen a move done like that, to the point where like Cass had an idol and she still was like, you don't need it. It's okay, baby. And she was like, okay, and put it. And I was like, oh no, she convinced Cass to not use it on herself, to still take it. And all of that without getting a single vote. Like, I just feel like that. I'm like, that is flawless gameplay. Regardless of the game that you're playing, that is flawless gameplay.
She also did it right on the spot too. You have to think
right on the spot
so quickly to be able to do that. And Bobby, I am going to agree with you on one of the points for sure that you made about the 14 people with having the imbalance of people. Yeah. I absolutely am on the same page as that. I think they should have done 16 people. It's not that much harder to have 16 people out there. It really isn't, folks. You could have done a double, a limb somewhere else. There was options to have that. I'm not going to disagree with you on that whatsoever. What I am going to press on, though, is when I'm regarding the best of the best, so those other world people have not been given the opportunity to play multiple seasons because Survivor in the US has been going on for so much longer. So our US players have had an opportunity to continue playing again. I think someone such as a Rob did kind of what Tony did coming back for Game Changers, blew up, went ballistic. I think if Rob does a rewatch of the gameplay, can come back again and play a much better game, but did not have that opportunity to do that because this was Rob's second time. So that's my argument in the sense of saying the best of the best, because it's not the world people's fault that they have not had other opportunities to play multiple games.
But
go ahead. I think you have a good game and a bad game, and then you get to go home and go, okay, so that didn't go so well the first time, or that went really well this time, and then you can come back for time number 3. You're like, got it, okay. So like, I think it's a weird flex, but yeah, I think because they haven't had a chance to come back yet, you really think once you get home that you've like reflected on your game and your journey, but like you need to have one really good game and then one that's really bad. And Parv, Suri, Tony, they've all had them. Games that were good and games that were so bad and they were out immediately. And you're like, okay. And then they're like, I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, not a knock on them. Like I said, it's not a knock on them as players, but more so, is this the best in the world? I mean, 2 of those people didn't even win their season of the international version. So they're not even technically the best on their own international season. So that's what I come back to. It's not the best of the best. And I understand Suri's never won, but Suri has played so many times. She's won Traders. Like, she's been on Big Brother. Suri is a household name no matter where you go. And let's be real. Are they really trying to appeal to the international audience, as in like, you know, South Africa, Finland, Canada, maybe Canada to a small extent, but really they're going after the Australian and US market. That's what everyone is here to see. So, because guess what? The US is worldwide and Australian has made itself worldwide and it's their product. So I come back to the fact that they're not even the best on their own international seasons. They aren't here playing at the same level as the people that are the US/Australian players. Like, can you say Tommy really played a good game? Like, Cass got blindsided. Like, and nothing against them as people. I'm telling you, I'm just saying it really isn't the best of the best out there. So that doesn't knock what Parvati was able to do. Parvati's gameplay was absolutely phenomenal from beginning to end. I do think that she had a couple slip-ups along the way, but they were minor, and she was able to recover from them. But just like you said, Lauren, if they added 2 more people, 2 more men on either side, I would feel much more comfortable with the dynamics of this game. Because if it was reverse, and they had more men out there than women, you know, people would be very much so up in arms about that. And people would be like, oh, now Parvati and Suri have to play from the bottom because there's 4 men out there going against them 2 and 1 other woman. Like, that would be an issue. So just give us even tribes. I'm not saying one way or the other is better. That's not what I'm getting at all. It's not a men versus women thing. It's a fairness thing. And there needs to be fairness all the way around. And that's what I come back to.
Oh, yeah. We don't disagree at all on that format. I absolutely think 8v8, 110%.
Totally.
But even if we're looking here as well, we clocked it with Tommy. We did clock it. None of us picked Tommy. So we were thinking in the correct mindset here. And I 110% agree. We wanted a full Aussie versus US. I desperately wanted that, but we got what we got. And so that's why I'm still saying this season happened and it was still a home run in my opinion. And I still am going to stand hard on it. Parvati is a 2-time winner. And that's fine that we disagree. We don't have to agree. This is a podcast. This is why we're talking about it. But I am not going to say that I'm not comparing it to a reindeer game. I cannot compare it to a BB reindeer game. I will die on that hill. It's not happening. If you want to compare it to that, that is fine, but I cannot go that direction.
Well, just like how Nicole Franzel thinks she's a 2-time winner, that's where I put Parvati at. I know people are going to come for me. I know people are going to come for me and disagree with me. This is my take, my moment right here to share how I feel. And I just don't feel like this is considered the same thing as Survivor proper. Now, I respect it. I think she is obviously a 2-time winner, but the second win isn't the full win, in my opinion.
How long was Reindeer Games?
Like 2 weeks.
I think it was like
3 weeks. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks.
weeks.
So it's like the same time. like that's what I come back to. It's like the same amount of time. Yes, we get it longer on our television screens, but really they were there and out in a blink of an eye. Also, another little factor, they got a lot of amenities at the beginning of the game. a lot of things to carry them over for the 2 weeks they were out there. It's not the same game as Survivor where they get basically nothing. I don't know.
So okay. So this is fun for me. The US is now down to 26 days. This was 16-day game, correct? So 10-day different. We go from complaining, it used to be 39. Now we're at 26. Now you're sounding like the old school survivors that used to play and say, we played the 39 days, the 26 days. This doesn't matter. This doesn't count.
Okay, guys, I get it. I know everyone's coming for me. The comments are coming for me. This person.
No, you have some good comments for you, but I'm just comparing this here now. 39 days, 26. Now we have 16. It's a whole debate.
As far as the whole 26 days, 39 days, I could give two shits about that. I still totally disagree with New Era where they give them no food. I don't care to see these people absolutely starving because I don't think it allows for good gameplay. And I think we've seen that on seasons where obviously the New Era, in my opinion, has not nearly been as good as the old era when it comes to Survivor US. And I think a lot of that comes down to nutrition, where they don't have the willingness to play the game because they're malnourished, their brain's not working properly. And I think that actually factors in more than production thinks. I think that is something that needs to change. But as far as the actual days go, I could care less. Like 26 days, 39 days doesn't matter to me. I come back to this isn't the same thing as the regular game. They got a ton of amenities coming into the game. It's a shortened season. It has got absolutely, top tier players and people that no one had ever heard of coming into this season. I don't think you can consider this a true all-star season. And that's just where I come from. And that's not the players' fault. That's even not production's fault because I know there were some factors where Jeff Probst wouldn't let them have a full U.S. cast. It was originally supposed to be AU versus U.S., and Jeff Probst did not allow that to happen. So that is not even a production problem. They had to solve it, and they solved it the best way they can. It just doesn't feel like the same show to me. And it was fun, and I appreciate it for what it was, and I do think she won twice. I don't consider the second win the same as a regular season win, and I'll die on that hill by myself.
That is fair. That is a hill that you will die by yourself. Okay, so once we get back to the island, let's talk hot takes. Do you think Janine made the right decision? My only real issue with this is the editing. I thought has been pretty good editing, like storytelling wise, except it was hard for us to believe that Janine would flip on Luke because they didn't show her ever just really talking to the women until she absolutely had to at the end. We're like, I would have loved to see a relationship being built with the women where we're like, will she, won't she? And I think a lot of us thought she would, but we're like, does she even know these women? Like, what's happening here? And so like I'm not sure if they didn't air it or if it didn't exist. If there really was not a close relationship with Parvati and Sari that she would be like, why would I flip? And I just think that also this is a hot take on like patriotism. Australians go hard for Australia. Americans are like, depends on the day. So like, I think it's kind of one of those where like, she was like, no, we're bringing this home for country. And we're all like, oh, I guess Australians kind of work like that. We don't. But like, I think it is kind of one of those things where like, I don't know if there was a relationship. I wish it would have been a little bit more climactic. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was surprised when she did choose to stay with Luke because I thought that was not a great idea for the game. But also, I don't know whether she just never talked to Sari or what was happening. Like, I have no idea.
I look at it one of two ways here. I look at it as though Janine, if she's self-aware enough, knew she was probably not going to win the season, wanting to give Luke a chance to potentially get into the final three. That's one way I look at it. The other way I look at it is if Janine was smart, I think you do vote out Luke there because Parv and Sari can then potentially split some votes and maybe
they will split the votes. Yes, exactly.
Make some in because my girl Lisa No way Lisa's voting for anyone else. I think Lisa still would have voted for Cirie if she could have at the FTC. So there's one vote already in Cirie's direction. I think Cirie maybe then catches potentially 1 or 2 more votes. And then Luke maybe respects the move from Janine. Then Luke votes for Janine. So I do see some avenues here. And then it's Shawnee potentially. So you could maybe have an argument for her to get a couple votes. Do I think she wins? Absolutely not. But I think we see a much closer vote in the end game if those 3 are sitting in the end versus Luke being there. So you have to look at it 1 or 2 ways. Is she being loyal to Luke because she knows she's already losing, give him a shot to maybe potentially win the game? Or did she just decide not to go that route and give herself a better chance to win sitting next to the other 2 ladies?
I think personally that she knew the writing was on the wall. Once Parvati won that final immunity, I think she knew there's no way I can beat Parvati. Parvati's played a phenomenal game. She's done all these big moves. Like Parvati's going to get the win. And I think she felt a sense of, I have to put Luke in the end with me because he's my friend outside the game. He's a family man. He's got a lot he's playing for. And I would rather see him get second place and win some money and, possibly take home the win, even though I know that it's probably going to go to Parvati, but I want him to at least have a chance. That's how I looked at it. I think it was a friend doing another friend a solid, and she owes nothing to Cirie, right? Like, she met Cirie through this game. She's known Luke for years. There's a big difference there. So I think it was loyalty to a friendship. That's why she took him. But another thing I come down to is, all season long, and we've had a problem with this with Survivor in the past, with Australian Survivor in particular, and they did better this season, obviously because it's a shortened cast, but who the winner is basically from the start.
They
right?
did not do better. They did not do better.
They did
Parvati
better.
started and ended every episode. They
Yes.
didn't give anyone else shit.
Yes.
Parvati was like, here's what I had for lunch. And everyone's like, I'm in. Like, what?
But it's better
Absolutely
than
not.
we've seen in the past, because guess what? They don't have as many people to show. So
Heavy-handed. It was heavy-handed. I was like, if Parvati does win this is either the best editing or the worst we've ever seen, where we're like, that makes too much sense. Like, it was too easy.
Well, the thing is, too, we saw very little Cirie actually playing the game. We know she was right there hand in hand with a lot of things with Parvati, but the conversation always came back to Parvati's feelings towards this situation. And then maybe 1 or 2 clips of Cirie's opinion on things. So you knew Cirie wasn't going to win because she wasn't getting the edit. The only other person that got the same edit was Luke towards the end, and I guess Kirby towards the beginning. Other than that, it was all heavy-handed Parvati from start to finish, from the very first vote with Rob all the way till the end. And I've always had a gripe with that, because we don't know what Tommy was thinking on things. And I keep picking on Tommy, poor Tommy, but literally, Tommy was very purpled throughout the show. And there was a lot of people purple throughout the show. We lost a couple of the big characters in David and King George at the very beginning that probably would have kind of even this edit out a little bit had they've gotten further, but because they didn't, we didn't get to see that. And I just wish that they would change that. We don't need to get the winner's aspect on everything all season. Let us feel like everyone has a chance. But when you give someone 150 confessionals and then, the person that gets 5th place has 20, feels really one-sided. Like, come on, let's do better.
I don't think Janine spoke till episode 3 or 4, and that is as a final 3 tribal. She makes it all the way there. So I would have really loved to hear the social dynamics of it all. But as per always, Cirie got screwed on the edit, because I think what they try and do is they show us as much as they can, but then they explain it through certain people's eyes so that we think oh, that's their move or whatever else. But if you really look at it, Cirie controlled every single vote. It was her social game that literally her and Parv would talk about whatever it was. And then Cirie would go and do the work, because she makes people feel comfortable and seen and heard and understood. And if you already know that, and you watch the show, you're like, actually, she's doing a lot, but the edit won't help her. And I don't know why they do it in America with her and in Australia. No one will help this woman in an edit until the very end, because I was like, I am a grown ass man, and there's a tear rolling down my eye, because I was just like, this is absolutely awful.
Lauren?
Always how Suri goes out of every single game. I'm sitting here saying, come on, I just need an actual vote where there's not some idol element, some fire making element involved. This poor woman, she plays so fantastic. I just wanted her to see just one time, get to the end and just see her work her magic, see what she could do. And going back to what you were saying, Bobby, earlier with the editing with Aussie Survivor, we see I have an issue with the US editing, because then you get people such as, I'm going to throw this out there, Erica from 41.
Yeah.
Her edit, I'm sorry, I didn't even know she was on the season most of the time because we barely saw her. And so then we're saying to ourselves as viewers, how did this woman win this game? How did that happen? What moves were made? What did she do? And she definitely was doing things out there, but we didn't get to see it. Whereas the Aussies take in the complete other direction. We see everything that the winner does, and we don't see other people's gameplay.
Yeah. And another good point by Knox Too Tall. Tommy and Cass speak English as a second language. That's why I don't think we got a lot of their confessional. That's fair. That's fair. But had they gotten to the end of the game, I guarantee we got a lot more of their confessionals. It's the fact that that's just a known thing with Australian Survivor. Phillip, it looks like you want to say something.
I mean, I think when you do a global season of anything, you know what you're walking into. And I saw this problem on Drag Race Global All-Stars, where like they just didn't give the people that weren't speaking English well good confessionals. I'm like, okay, but you cast them knowing this. I need you to get the subtitles up because we want to know what they're thinking. And so like it's hard to do it that way, but I don't think Cass and Tommy were so far removed that I was like, every time they spoke, I understood them. And especially in a confessional scenario, in doing it myself, if I didn't say something the way I wanted, I would literally pause them and go back and do it again. So like that to me is the real time where you can speak English as well or as not well as you want, and then they have the opportunity to either use it or not, and they just chose not to use anything. Like I don't think I saw a single Cass confessional for like, there was a couple episodes in there that I was like, oh yeah, and she's there too.
And I want to push back on one little thing too about Suri, and I know this might get some heat, but with Suri, you've played enough times, you've been on enough reality TV. If you go on Survivor and don't know how to make fire, I have an issue with that. It's okay, really that is fair. Hard. It is really hard for me to sit here and feel bad for you when you have played a million versions of this. She's going to be on 50. She better know how to play fire on 50, because guess what? That's what you got to do to be able to get to the end. So for her not to be prepared with fire, which she did do better her second time doing fire this season, but both times she struggled. And I have a real issue with that. Go take the time, take a week of learning how to build fire. Call all your Survivor friends that know how to do it in 9 seconds, and they will help you. Because guess what? You're Suri Fields and everyone loves you and respects you. They're going to give you all the inside knowledge. And I know it's easier said than done, but you know she didn't have the full way of playing because she didn't fully know how to do it. Like Parvati's there walking her through what to do. That's an issue. So I worry for her on 50 if she doesn't get this fixed. Another thing about Suri is we almost, and thank God it didn't happen, if Jonny would have had an idol, because it seemed like everyone was getting idols in the season, if Jonny would have got an idol, we would have seen a second time of Suri being idled out of this game with no votes. We almost had that. We were literally one idol away from that happening, and that's an issue. In a shortened season, I felt like there was a lot of advantages and a lot of idols in this game. What were your guys' thoughts on that?
So for me, I've always been one to say less advantages, less idols. I want to see the people play. What can you do if your back's up against a wall and you don't have an idol to save yourself? Talk to people, figure it out, get back from underneath that. I love seeing people scramble and be able to get themselves out of the bottom without having to use an advantage to do so. Another thing regarding the fire making, I absolutely 110% agree with that. You have played so many times. You can order all that online and practice at home. You have so much time to do that. So I don't think there's an excuse for that at all. I agree. Did much better the second go around. I felt the suspense there. I'm going to be completely honest. I thought it was going to be a Luke runaway from the start regarding that fire making.
Yep.
And I thought it was going to be super, super boring, and it was actually exciting. So at least we got that. But the first time, if you're whispering to Tony and saying, Tony, what do I do if it's me? That is a problem.
Okay. My question for you is kind of related, kind of not. How long until we see that weird fire making rockabye baby shit in America? Because I have never seen it before in my whole life. And I was like, what is happening? And they're like, that's how we make fire. And they're swinging it like a softball pitcher. And I'm like, I have never seen this. And I went way back in America and worked my way up. And I was like, when we see that up here in America, we know that we have made it. We've come full circle.
Expected on
like,
50 with 3.
I have only seen that on Australia.
Yeah, no, that was wild to me too. I have never seen that as an actual idea. I've never even heard people talking about that as an idea of how to do it. So I was surprised to see it too. All right, so we've kind of come to the middle of this. I do want to throw out a few things. First off, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button. Please hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever we do go live. A couple things for you guys to check out while we're still here talking. Obviously, check out the content that Jonny Fairplay and others from Australian Survivor put up for Australia View the World content. It's a really good job, really entertaining. So I highly recommend you guys go back, leave a comment, leave a like. Also, you can tune in to me on my live stream here on YouTube and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Bobby Goodsby. If you guys give me a follow, a like, what have you, it helps me out a lot. I go live Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, noon Pacific to 2 p.m. Pacific, talking Big Brother, Survivor, all kinds of stuff. We're doing a Sequester rewatch when I was on Rehab Sequester, and that's been a lot of fun. So guys, please check that out. It supports me and it helps me out a lot. Also, we have our Survivor content coming around the corner for Survivor 49. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Going to be a lot of fun. We will have our live shows Wednesday night, and I will be going live later tonight at some point on both Twitch and YouTube for tonight's Big Brother eviction episode. So stay tuned for that. And one other thing before we get going with the rest of our content, we do have a quick commercial from our sponsor, Watertown Whiskey. Please go check them out, watertownwhiskey.com. Shout out to them for the sponsorship. They're awesome. Drink responsibly. And here's the quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Survivor AU versus the World content.
Watertown Whiskey, guess what? Philadelphia Eagles back-to-back. Here we go, Super Bowl champions. You see, Daniels, it is the Commanders' year. Woo! Super Bowl bound to Watertown Whiskey. It's back-to-back. The Chiefs are going back, and they're winning this time. Watertown Whiskey. Y'all boys heading on down to 8 Mile. Lions got this. Watertown Whiskey. It's the AFC's year, but it's the Chargers. There's only one thing I gotta say. Watertown Whiskey. Jets, 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 Jets! Shut up! Hartford Whalers, we're going to the Super Bowl. They're close to Watertown, right? There's one thing we can all agree on. Watertown Whiskey. Escape the ordinary. WatertownWhiskey.com. Drink responsibly.
Shout out to Watertown Whiskey, watertownwhiskey.com. Drink responsibly. And now back to our regular scheduled content here at Reality After Show with Australia v. the World. Guys,
wait a minute.
Wait, no,
wait, exactly. Phillip, you go first, but yes.
You know that episode of Schitt's Creek where Moira's doing the commercial for the wine and she just gets drunker and drunker as it goes on, and we're like, oh, she's probably actually drinking it, right? That's what just happened. That's what just happened.
For one, how many takes was that? Because there's no way that was a clean cut take. Absolutely not. And as soon as I saw the Jets jersey pop up, I lost it. Why?
Okay, first off, when Jonny sent that to me to edit, I looked at it, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because like it's literally the same thing with just him in a different jersey. And I'm like, what do you want me to make of this? So I did the best I could with what I had. But I edited that and put it together. But I did not film it. I was not in Virginia being able to film that for him. But you know what? At the end of the day, we made it work. Watertown Whiskey, go check them out, guys. We appreciate them with the sponsorship. Yeah, that's what we had for what I was given.
We
So,
love it.
you
All
guys
right,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Anyway, back to regular schedule programming.
I'll be right back.
So let's talk Final Tribal Council. For me, like a public speaker, I love Final Tribal, and I just feel like I know she's been there a lot, but Parvati's the only one that seemed to really understand the like assignment. That I'm like, you need to like talk about the game, the moves you made, why the win is significant to you. I just feel like the Aussies like fell a little short, and they were like, maybe I could be like cheeky and fun and cute. And I'm like, not the time. Like, I need a full Gettysburg Address. Like, I need it good. Like, I want emotions. I want like anything, vulnerability. Like, I just want it. And I feel like they weren't great at their speeches. They weren't awful. We saw much worse on 48. That's fair. But also at the same time, I didn't love the speeches.
Parvati understood the assignment, as we said, all season long. And she was giving the answers that they were looking for specifically. And I believe because of her experience, she knows what jury members want. I guarantee Parvati has probably went back and looked at other FTCs. How's the jury reaction? What are they doing? She's someone I could see doing her homework before going into games such as this, because she's just that smart of a player. Here's my issue with Janine. Janine hypes herself up, and even Jonny as well, of how good Janine is in front of people, speaking to people, selling to people. I was not sold anything there. I'm not buying that product with what was being said.
A little. I think once you get so high up in your company, after a while, like the company sells itself, and she has so much money and has so many accolades and like accomplishments, and I don't want to take any of that away from her. But what I'm saying is, when you're not in the trenches per se, doing the speeches every day and trying to like rev up a team and stuff like that, it doesn't hit. And I just don't think Janine had the resume. I think it was giving a substitute teacher with no lesson plans. She just was like, I think we're supposed to maybe do this worksheet, but like, I don't know. Like, it just seemed like she didn't have a plan, and she was just going to try and like keynote speaker her way out of it. But the thing is, does she write her own speeches? I know she delivers them, but does she write her own speeches?
After seeing that, I hope not. And I don't even know if it's too, as you said, if you've sat in that seat before, you are going to have that experience of being comfortable enough. This is what I need to say. This is what I need to do. And Janine, you see, had that back and forth with Sarah and wasn't letting up. And what it didn't land good. None of it was great. And I don't think Janine was aware enough to be like, okay, what I am saying is not working. That is not what they are looking for. How am I going to backtrack and figure out something else to say instead of doing this?
I agree with you guys. I don't think Janine did a very good job in those speeches. And I think that she was also playing from a position of, she knows she's behind both of these people. So she's doing what she can to, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Like realistically, who was going to vote for Janine? You had Parvati, who had all these advantages and played people and helped get people out, who won immunities and won endurance competitions when she absolutely needed it. Then you have Luke, who she's been on the team with the entire way through the game. So everyone sees him as a tandem, but Luke is the one who's winning the competitions and winning safety for himself, and then allowing him to make gameplay moves because he has that level of safety. He also found a immunity idol. She didn't do that. So obviously people are going to see that since they are a tandem, she's always going to be at a disadvantage with Luke there. At the end of the day, I think she saw the writing on the wall. I think she knew she couldn't win against either of those two people. She was going to throw stuff out there and see if it stuck. If it didn't, whatever, at least she tried throwing something out there and seeing what would work. I don't really knock her for that, because I think she saw the writing on the wall and she knew she couldn't win.
I think she saw the writing on the wall when it got to question number 4 or 5 and no one acknowledged her. No one asked her shit because they didn't care. When they don't ask you something, it's because they don't care about the answer. And so in turn, it was hard to watch. I think there's always kind of one throwaway at a final tribal, and she sadly was it. I think that Luke could have done a better job. I think especially in our male finalists, you want to hear a level of vulnerability and empathy that you probably have not seen, because you always want to give the jury something that they don't know about you or something that's like surprising, because that stays with them. So if they see you as a challenge beast only, he really had to rely on like some semblance of like a social game or like why he needs the money or whatever. And he started to go that way. And we were like, you're doing it. And he's like, but I'm the best in Australia. And we're like, oh, there we go. And we lost it. And we're back again. Like, it's just, we started to see glimpses of it. And we were like, yes, this is exactly what you need right now. And then he was like, oh, don't appear too soft and too vulnerable. Okay, so I guess no one's going to take away the fact that I'm the best, bro. And you're like, nope. And we lost it. It's done. It's over. Look at the jury. Read the room, baby. He lost it immediately.
And that's what Parvati had. Parvati had that wow factor. When that parchment gets brought up, boom, that's it. Signed, sealed, delivered. That's all you need. And I will say, too, with the genie of it all and not being asked questions, you just know it's not going right. It gave me almost Sherry vibes from Caramoan, where Sherry's just sitting there going, nothing. No one's saying a thing. This is awkward. I might as well pick up my belongings and walk out of the tribal council.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a tough spot to be in. I want to talk about also, what were your guys' thinking on like the cast as a whole? Like, do you think some people came in and there was just no chance they had to play this game? They saw the writing on the wall. Like, they were not going to be given an opportunity. Like, obviously we saw that with David. We saw that with George. I really wish we would have been able to see more of those two players, because they are the bigger names for Australia, but no one wanted to play with them from beginning to end. Do you think that the international people were always at a disadvantage as well, because of the fact that they were the international people brought in? And I'm not including the US people in this, but because they were the internationals, one, they were always seen as playing together, and no one really gave them the time of day to play with. What were your thoughts on the cast?
I mean, it's weird because I'd love to say the international players were at a serious disadvantage, but if you look, after Tony gets voted out, they have the numbers. If they decide to stay together, no matter what, they have the numbers. They could easily control the rest of the game, and yet they still choose not to. And so it's hard when you see these big polarizing people. Like, I know on my show, like there was one day I was like having breakfast and I was like, I'm eating eggs between Parvati and Dr. Will. This is the craziest shit in my whole life. But like, you have that weird moment where you're like, I should throw it all away for them because they're celebrity. And then after a while, you're like, no, that like, you can't do that. You have to be still willing to play and understand that you're both players in that situation. You can get their autograph later. Shout out to Lisa. You can get their autograph later.
Yeah.
Lisa was what happens if they put one of us on that show. They're like, and we're just going to throw on like one viewer. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. And poor Lisa, the moment Sari lost the fire and she starts to cry, then Lisa starts, I'm like, Lisa, are you okay? Like, we really had to make sure that she had proper mental health there, because we were like, uh-oh, this is not good. And I just think, I know Lisa's a good player from what I heard, but I didn't see almost any of it. I think everything she did was just a misstep.
Well, the main issue that we have, I think if Sari's not there, Lisa's game is probably better. But when you hear Lisa say in a confessional, I want Sari to win Survivor so badly. Well, honey, listen, you're pushing for it. We can tell you've been doing it the entire season. But I don't know if I could go out there and just be like, I am here playing for this person. I want to compete. But that's also, everyone has different mindsets. And Lisa, I think, was so starstruck. I cannot believe I'm touching the same sand as Sari right now. And it was like that the entire time that Lisa was out there with Sari. Now, regarding the Aussie players, because Bobby, you're asking who didn't have a chance. So here's my take on this. George tried to play with David and Luke. And then David gets voted out. So the opportunity was there. George was trying. He was trying to make it work. David just chose not to go in that direction, and it tanked David's game. Do I think there could have been an opportunity for those two to maybe not go out as early as they did? Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted the Power Bottoms alliance to work so bad. I was so here for that alliance, but David just really didn't give it the time of day. And I really think that was to David's detriment. I think, honestly, I really do think George would have been all in on that because he knows they are the two big names. Like, they are the two big names. They're both at the top. They think they're the king of the jungle, even though Luke says he is. They both think that they're the king, and he wanted to play with that, and he just wasn't given the opportunity. Now, back to the internationals thing real quick. As far as Lisa, through the first couple of episodes, man, we were all like, Lisa sounds awesome. Lisa's going to play this game with Sareed. They're going to be a powerhouse duo. Got Parvati in the mix. Like, Lisa's a former winner of her season, so I expect big things from her. There's obviously something she did to deserve that win. We got none of that. Lisa was the biggest dud on this season. She was a fan of the show and a fan of Sareed, and that's all we got from her entire edit, right? So she wasn't good in competitions, fair, whatever. But then when you have no social chops, where multiple times we're seeing big errors, where she's pulling the Australians aside, being like, hey, so the vote's going to be this way, but I'm not going to vote that, but you guys should. I was like, that, how are you playing like that? You know what you do? You tell them that this is how you're going to vote, and then you just don't do it yourself.
Right, you just don't do that.
Just don't
do whatever you said you were going to do. You just don't do that.
You just don't do it, and let them do it, and then let them get the blood on their hands. But guess what? What you wanted still got done. But to tell them you're not going to do something, they're going to be like, why the hell would I ever work with you then if you're not going to do what you're saying you're going to do and want us to follow in that direction? It was terrible. And then you go to the part where she wants to quit the game for Tommy because she wants to stay loyal to her team. She didn't do that in her original season, which God knows I want to see that because we didn't see anything close to that all season here. She was a fan stuck in the middle, trying to play the loyalty game and trying to have her cake and eat it too, similar to Vince on Big Brother right now. Like, have your cake and eat it too, and we'll try to work with everybody, but you have to pick a side at a certain point, and you can't do that in this game, especially in an abbreviated version. Lisa was an absolute bust, and it was really painful for me to watch. So that goes back to my original point. How is this the best in the world when this is the gameplay we're getting? And that's why I have a problem with it.
That's fair. Let's score it, rank it. You know that I'm someone that loves like a good score, a number, something like tangible. So you can give it a grade, an A through an F, so on and so forth. Let's go through. I got a few categories. Let's start easy. The cast, my personal opinion, A-. I think they got a lot of really good personalities out there. I would have loved to see a Tyson. I would have loved to see like some more males that would really be more aggressive and kind of push back on Parvati and Sareed a little bit. And I would have loved to see that. But my score is an A-. What are your views?
Go ahead, Lauren.
So I'm going to go B+. Love the cast.
Cool.
My issue is it would get A- for me if it was even 8 and 8. That's where the A- comes from there. To me personally, my only dud was Tommy on the cast. I know you have arguments for Lisa, but Lisa and Tony at the well, come on, you can't beat that. And I want to go back to the quit real quickly here. So I don't have as big of an issue with this because it's not as though Lisa couldn't hack it. Lisa's thinking in her mindset, I have no chance to win this game. It's not going to happen. Maybe Tommy can do something that I clearly am not able to do. Let me give Tommy a chance. So I don't necessarily hate it. Obviously, they didn't let it happen. And then she goes, oh no, won't be on the jury to vote for Sareed, so I can't quit now.
It's important. I need it.
So how is this one of the best players in the world to play this game? Like,
score it, Bobby. Score the cat.
I'm saying that I'm saying NA. I'm saying NA. It's not even like a consideration. Multiple
give it
factors.
A low score, but I need you to score it.
Fine, I'll give it a C-.
Really?
Wow.
Here's the deal. I like the Australian cast. Love that cast. Think it was great. I love the US version of the cast. Wish there was a couple more out there, but I'll take what we got. The international version, I could have gone without, and I know that's not anyone's fault, but Jeff Probst, no offense, Jeff Probst, but like it did kind of cause this. And then 2, the fact, like Lauren said, the uneven numbers, that really, really put a bad taste in my mouth. And it really makes me feel like that is on production. That is a production mistake. That is a big mistake. And it's so much so that I can't even justify it being an even cast because it wasn't even gender-wise. So that's why I put it at a C-, because we really aren't getting the best in the world and the casting was not complete.
Cool. All right. So next is the editing. I had to go B-, and I use editing / storytelling just as far as just like the actual flow of what we saw. I use B- just because I think it was so Parvati heavy-handed. Don't get me wrong. I think The Island was Parvati heavy-handed, but also you want to still try and tell the story in a way that leaves some suspense. I just think from a production standpoint, they didn't leave enough for me.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'll go next. I'm just going to go flat B with it because
Cool.
I do agree with you there with everything that you just said. But what I love about the Australian Survivor, we get the big time intros. We get the hype of it all. We don't get that over here in the US. It's just 26 days, X amount of players, one survivor. With this, we got the full introduction of everybody. You have Luke coming out of a suitcase. You just have so many different elements with that intro, which is why Aussie Survivor with their editing and that aspect always hits for me.
Cool.
If I'm judging it based off of that beginning intro sequence, it's an A++. If I'm judging it by how they give us the confessionals, the amount of player edit that they give us, and really gameplay wise, we're kind of all over the board. Sometimes they give you a scene and it's clearly from something 2 days ago before anything ever happened. And you're like, wait, this timeline doesn't match up. Like these people are clearly, we're talking back here, like on a different day about this. It doesn't add up. I like to see the sequence of events in order and not having moments where you know that that's not when they're actually having the conversation and the timeline they're giving us. And when it's so heavy-handed on the winner, I have to give it a C- again. I really think they need to clean up their editing style. Is it a very good version? I love what they give us on the screen. Absolutely. But when you give us such a heavy-handed winner edit and you give us timelines that are mixed up and hard to follow at times, I do have an issue with that.
Cool. Overall gameplay of the cast. I'm going to go A- only because there were no filler episodes. I feel like even though it wasn't the same people running strategy, someone was running strategy every episode. And so I do love the idea that like they took off running and then they never really slowed down.
What do you have, Bobby?
I'm going to give it a B. I think that as far as that goes, like, yes, there was some very good gameplay out there. There was some people playing hard and trying their best in competitions and trying to find immunities, trying to find advantages. Like everyone out there was giving it what they had to. Do I wish we got more from certain people? Absolutely. But at least the majority of the cast was playing hard and playing to win. So I'll give it a B.
I'll go B+. And reason why my B+ goes here is because, as Bobby said, everyone was out there guns a-blazing. Was Rob's guns a-blazing good? No, but Rob was still giving it the best shot that he possibly could. And as I said early in the podcast too, I think when it comes to certain people and the dynamics of the game, as you said, someone's leading the charge. There's at least one person that was driving the episode, and I said there was one episode that was good. All the rest of the episodes, in my personal opinion, were excellent, were top tier. And if you can find that in a season, you can't complain.
Agree. The actual physical challenges themselves. And I feel like we should score it only because like we've had some seasons of pretty much only America where we've been like, well, that was very skewed toward a physical person or a smart person where it was all puzzles or whatever else. What did we think of the spread of challenges?
So I'll go with this one. I mean, They are the king with Survivor challenges. Australia is the king with the challenges. And I did like that not all of them skewed on the athletic side, right?
Fair.
There were some that were definitely more, you had to have a strategy based or who you used in the competition based. Like it wasn't all physical. I do think they have a lot to leave to the imagination in the fact that they just kind of rinse and repeat a lot of these challenges from season to season. And they do skew more on the physical side. Granted, I feel like it was better here than it's been in years past. I would just like to see them shake it up a little bit. And my one big gripe is production absolutely screwing up the breathing underwater competition, where they should have known the forecast for storms in the background. Like this is a classic competition. This is one that a lot of people love to watch and see happen because it's traumatizing, to say the least. But to not allow them to compete to the end and then just have a pick a rock to go who wins immunity, that's more on the production for not looking at the forecast.
Poor Tommy. Justice
hey.
for Tommy, that man thought he won. And they like got him out of the water and he was like, hooray, I won. This is better than when I got my first sheep. And we're like, no, Tommy, you did not win, baby. This is not yours. We wanted to let you know the water's rising and you're going to die. And he's like, oh, man. And so, yes, I do agree completely.
That was Tommy's best moment of the season. It was fantastic.
The best moment of the season by far.
The best moment of Tommy. The Tommy moment right there. Can I ask about that challenge? Are y'all letting people pick a rock? What are you doing?
I would let them do it again the next day.
That's what I was going to say.
When we did axe throwing, even though you guys saw it in a few minutes, it took us 48 hours because then it started to rain and it was a thunderstorm. So there was half of us that got to throw the axe on day 1 and half of us that got to throw on day 2. And so they made it look like one day, but like it was extra anxiety and in knowing that I had to go to sleep and wake up the next day and I knew what the challenge was and that I wasn't skilled at it and knowing that I still had to throw.
Interesting. Another thing I wanted to ask too is like, did they make you wear the same like clothes that you wore the day before? Yeah, I kind of figured.
Everything, the bracelets, the shoelaces, the socks. Yeah.
Wow.
All of it.
And about the whole competition too, with the underwater thing, I don't know if time-wise they would have been able to wait till the next day because it was such a shortened season. But maybe if you can look at the forecast, do it earlier in the day. Do it on another day. Do a different competition that day. You should be able to see that and be like, hey, doesn't look like this one's going to work today. There's going to be thunderstorms coming. Let's push this till tomorrow. Like, that's not that hard, right? They have, I'm sure, a lot of these sets already made up, ready to go for any competition. That's just my thought.
You're not wrong. As far as my ranking, though, for this, I will give it a B+. And people love it, and I extra love it. They have the auction. So that's why it gets the B+ for me. Give me a Survivor auction every single season of Survivor. I live for it.
You want them to actually do it well. Only like 3 people got to.
Yeah, that was the gripe I had.
Yes. No, I'm not saying it was done well, but the auction is there.
Fair.
We do not have it every season in the US, and we should. That's my caveat with that. The whole look of it all with that entire auction piece, because the fact you were even thinking about of reverting from what you just did. So not only will you piss off 1, but you were going to potentially piss off 2 people is wild to me.
And also
insane.
not to have the Mexican Parma be a part of the Australian auction is criminal. Because that is a staple of the Australian auction, is having the Mexican Parma out there, which I still have no idea to this day what it actually is. But they always seem to be super stoked about it. Sounds absolutely awful. Like chicken parm, sure. But Mexican Parma, no idea. I would never eat it, but I love seeing it because every time I'm gripped to my TV being like, what is it? Like, I still got to get a better look. What is in that? How does it work? And why are they all excited about it?
I will never be able to get the view of Parvati and the cookies out of my head. Because did you guys see K-pop Demon Hunters?
Yes.
You know that like big tiger thing that keeps knocking it over, and then he just keeps trying to fix it. That's what it was like watching her consistently drop the same cookies in the sand. And I was like, baby, just it's okay. It's okay. Like, we don't have to eat them. It's okay. We're just gonna let it go. She's like, oh no, now there's glass in them. And I'm like, oh God. And she's like, oh no, now there's sand in them. I'm like, oh my God, what's
Just
happening here to these cookies?
As a father of a 5-year-old, I've watched that movie probably 20,000 times. I have every song stuck in my head. My wife and daughter have to listen to every single song anytime we get in the car. So I know that movie and all the songs better than I know probably you guys. So let's be real. But yes, I agree with you. But also, how did she shatter that vase putting it in the sand? I still don't understand how she was capable of doing that. Just simply set it down very slowly, cover it with sand. You have food for the rest of the time. But no,
I don't know what was going on with that Home Goods glass container that just shattered everywhere. We were like, oh no, this is not it. All right, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway. No, I get it, but also gave me flashbacks to Heroes versus Villains with Parvati and Danielle holding the shovel and figuring out what to do with the shovel and all of that. So it just brought me back. I needed that moment. It was great.
It gave me flashbacks too of Erica and the hourglass, where all of a sudden they just shatter the hourglass in the sand and stuff. I'm like, so you're just gonna leave the glass there? Like, someone's gonna step on that? Like, this is a safety hazard at this point.
Oh God. All right. My last one is just an overall score for the season, top to bottom. I think I want to give it an A, but the more we pick it apart, it's going down to an A-. But I will also say, for the first type of season like this, especially in Australia, they killed it in not really like knowing what they were doing or what it was going to become. I think it being smaller was smarter. I think that when you give people these smaller seasons, that's when you get the big names like Sari and Parvati, all of them, where they're like, I'm not going out there for 2 months. Absolutely not. But you're like, okay, listen, 3 weeks. And they're like, okay, fine. So I think that's when you get the bigger names and stuff. I give it an A- overall whole season.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'm also going to stick with the A- because I'm going to allow this to be, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, even though we've picked it apart, as you said, it is still going to land in my top 10. Definitely not my top 5, but it'll be a top 10 season for me. And it's just the nostalgia of it all, for sure. I'm not going to deny that. I have been wanting to see a season such as this, and I'm not factoring in the days for this either. I'm thinking in my mindset, okay, I just saw a clean full season, but this was the gameplay that we saw, and I enjoyed the gameplay. I thought it was good. We had the twist. We had the brilliant plays by Parvati. The cast, in my opinion, as we've talked about, was a pretty good, solid cast for what we could get for this very first season. I think next go around, when they do bring it back for a 2, what we can hope for is just Aussie versus US, and then maybe that season tops this one for me.
So I know I'm going to be the hardest here.
Here we go.
And it goes back to what you were saying, Phillip, where this version of the show, which you mentioned, I agree. It's a version of the show. It's not the actual show. It's not the same thing. But I appreciate it, and I liked it for what it was, and the cast brought it for the most part. I will give it a B-. And my factor is, I can appreciate it for what it was. I think there was a lot of hype around it. I think it lived up to it gameplay wise. I think there was a lot of stuff I would change, a lot of aspects of production and things I would change. And for that, I can't give it higher than a B-. I went back and forth with C+ or B-, but because the cast was pretty good and the gameplay was good for the amount of time they had, I will give it a B-. But if they're going to do this, like you said, Lauren, it needs to be US versus Australia proper, needs to have banger cast. I don't care. Bring half this cast back from Australia and half this cast back from the US, or I guess pretty much all the US. I would be completely cool with it. And you add in a few more Americans on there, have it a true, proper US versus Australia season, and give it a little bit longer timeline. I could think that we could have an absolutely amazing season, but now you've used up all your good Australian resources, right? Like, you put all your eggs in the basket of this happening one time.
No, bro, they'll come back. The Australians will literally come right back.
I just don't see how you can, though. I don't see how you can with using King George again or David again. And it's going to be the same thing, just rinse and repeat, right? You didn't spread it out, which is fine, but I would have rather saved those big names for a proper US versus Australia season.
I think so. As Phillip said, you can bring them back. I think you can bring certain ones back to the fold because remember, many of them had previously played together before, and there was some bad blood between them. We didn't know what was going to happen with the George Shawnee situation. They did do something together within the game, so that did work. And George was so happy for Shawnee when the elimination occurred. So I could see both of them coming back and playing together. Now, I think Shawnee's definitely done, but I'm just saying, don't count it out. I think you could get some quality players still. Don't get it twisted either. There's still some Aussie players that were not on this season that I absolutely think they could bring into the fold and they would still live up to the hype.
You're ruining all my next questions. Okay, cool. So so we each get to submit one. Everyone at home, if you're watching on YouTube, a cell phone, whatever else, please write to us as well. We will also highlight your comments. What's one thing that you would change for next year? You get to pick one, Bobby, just one.
Well, I mean, the easy one is just have equal gender cast. That's cool. Number one with the bullet. Not even close. That's number one. I know I want to say more, but I will stick to that being my number one, and it's the most obvious.
Great. Lauren?
This is going to be mine. I'm going to give Bobby here the most happy medium of them all. This was 16 days. US Survivor is 26. All right, we are going to do 21 days here, folks. Cool. Just extend it a few more extra days to see that bit more of gameplay and just find that happy medium there.
Amazing. We love that. Mine would probably be a bigger cast. I think that the bigger cast, I don't want to see someone just get evicted, but like eliminated by like one vote. It always gets weird to me when even at the beginning, it's like 3 versus 4. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I want to see a bigger cast. And even if that means adding an extra 2 onto each side, I think that's enough. But I just think it was too small to start with. So yes. And then my last question was, who would you want to see next year? If you want, you could pick one Australia and one American or someone else. Who would you want to see next year?
This is easy for me. 1,000%. I want to see King George back. You can never give me enough King George.
Okay.
I would be happy seeing
in the
King
Speedo?
George. Whatever. King George.
In the Huggies?
Sure. Listen, King George is always going to be the most entertaining Australian Survivor player to ever play the game. Love him or hate him, you can't help but say he makes every season better. That whenever he's on a season, you're like, oh, I'm excited to see George back, right? Like, when have you ever watched a season that he's on and not been entertained? He gave us probably the biggest moment in Australian Survivor history in Australia via the World when he made that play on Simon. It went international. So, yes, I think he is the name you have to have back. And this is an incomplete. Like, this season was an incomplete for him. We have more to see. Then for US, and I know I'm biased here, guys. I totally understand. I want to see Fair Play because Fair Play, having been so long since he played any version of Survivor, him and King George have a friendship out there. Do they both make it to the point of merge, and can they play together? I want to see that on my television screen. King George and Jonny Fairplay playing Survivor together. Like, who's not here for that?
Absolutely. And Fair Play is going to make it a show. And that's what King George does. They do the same thing. An audience will be watching. Regards to my players, my Aussie one is super, super easy. Give me Queen Haley. I need Haley on my screen again. She's an awesome player. She did fantastic. I mean, if you think about it, when she came back for her second time to play, what she's thinking about in the past, okay, All-Stars, 2 of those winners, boom, 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 out of there right away. She managed to make it so far in that season and did the best she could for being a previous winner, because when it comes to the Aussies, most of the winners, they got to go.
Fair.
In terms of the US version, Tyson all day, every day. If we want to talk about entertainment, he's top top 3 people for me. He will deliver in the confessionals. He will make the players have an awesome experience in terms of entertainment. Maybe not gameplay wise, because Tyson's going to be rolling and dealing the entire time out there. So those are my 2: Queen Haley for the Aussies and Tyson for the US.
Oh, what are your views on this? Go.
Yes, Chaos Cast. I could go without Abby Maria all day, every day. Give me Abby Maria.
Right? I want to see her do anything and everything at all times.
Firecracker. Does she even still watch Survivor?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then that's not as big of a take as possible. But I don't think Sheehan's so far removed. I just don't think that would ever happen.
No, I don't think so either. One other thing to add about Abby Maria, if you guys haven't seen it yet, on my live stream, it's here on Reality After Show. You can find it. We did a brand steal of Survivor versus Big Brother on Big Brother 28. We made a cast, and then we did a brand steal of it. Abby Maria goes far. I'm telling you guys, the winner you'll never believe.
We love that. My American choice is a hot take. David Kinney from 48. I think that he is the kind of player that would thrive in Australia. And I guess they might serve whole milk there. I'm not sure. I don't know if he would receive the milk, but I think that he would be the kind of American player that would really give the Australians kind of what they want. And my Australian player is probably, if he shaves all of his facial hair in advance and it doesn't grow in like that gross thing it did last time, AJ. I think that he is really good at relationships and good at talking to other people. He's like kind of a rat, kind of a snake. It's like a good situation where I feel like he really does embody the Australian way of playing.
All right.
David might be the hottest take of them all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But
I don't know if
I
I
don't
can get
think
on
he
board
would get
with that.
eliminated the same way again. I think he would be one that was like, okay, I did this the wrong way the first time.
But see, the problem is we want to see legends out there, right? Like we want to see people that are legends of the game play this game against each other. David's not a legend, So like,
but he's so big. But he's so big.
That's true.
That's where you need Chris Underwood just to come out there,
Yeah.
The real legend.
I stood between them both. David's bigger. I stood between them and I was like, oh my God, you're so big.
All right. So I think if you guys have anything else to say, I think we should probably head out of here. We're all good. All right, guys. So like I said, follow me, twitch.tv/Bobby Goodsby. It helps me out a lot. And we are multi-streaming both on my Twitch right now and on YouTube. So I will also be going live later tonight after the Big Brother episode. Not sure when, so just stay tuned. Click that bell notification so you're notified when I do go live, when we talk about the Big Brother eviction from tonight. Also, like I said, Survivor season 49 is around the corner, so be ready for that content. And I'm blanking on a few other things. Oh, check out mine, Gabe, and Jonny's podcast we did yesterday, where we did our week 2 NFL season breakdown of week 1 and our expectations for week 2. That's here on After Show as well. With that said, my little one is getting restless, so I got to go look at her and see what's going on. But you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Fun times. Even though we have different opinions, we can all agree we still had a good time watching this. So with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
Bye.
I